Hi there, and welcome to Inside the Wooniverse, a podcast brought to you from the corner of Fringe in Maine. I'm your host, Colette Baron-Reid. Joining us today is actually one of my favorite people. She's world-renowned Master Numerologist Glynis McCants. For over 27 years, Glynis has been studying and creating and teaching her own unique method based on the Pythagoras Number system, which is more than 2,500 years old. Glynis is the author of 2 best-selling books. And by the way, they still continue to be bestsellers. Glynis Has Your Number and Love by the Numbers, which I swear by, and which, by the way, was inspired by Glynis's own experience in picking out her husband by the numbers. And we're going to touch on this later. You may have seen her gorgeous face on TV, as she is a regular on programs like The Today Show, The Chalk, Nightline, The View, and Entertainment Tonight, just to name a few. And it's because of Glynis that I actually got on a few television shows in the United States. So I owe her a big one. Anyway, according to Glynis, numbers are in everyone and everything. She's convinced that her mission is to simplify what numerology is while showing everyone how they can use the numbers to change their lives for the better. Welcome to the Wooniverse, Glynis.
Hello. Great to be here.
Awesome. So we love a good backstory here in the Wooniverse. So we're going to start at the beginning with wee little Glynis. What was your childhood like? And were you always interested in life's mysteries and the deeper meaning behind everything?
Well, I was raised in a family of 13. I'm got 5 sisters, 5 brothers. So it was a very big family, but I was incredibly close to my mother. And my mother is very naturally psychic. I mean, she's the kind of person, like, example, if you want to take her sailing, she doesn't want to go, the ocean goes flat. You can't sail. She's one of those people. I mean, it's just the truth. Now, she never used it for anything. Like, this was just her truth. But what I remember, being raised Catholic and loving our faith, but Mom and I would also be in the closet doing the Ouija board. Like, we do stuff like that. So in that way, I was tapped into, like, learn a little bit about astrology and stuff like that. But the other thing I've thought about, Colette, because let's be honest, I am not just the numbers lady. I really see numbers 24/7.
Yep.
It is not an option for me. It is just my truth. Well, when I was a little girl, around 5 years old, maybe 5 or 6, and I was learning the ABCs, I remember being asleep and waking up and watching ABC come through my door like a ghost. It was white, and it really frightened me. I saw the ABCs, but then all of a sudden it also turned into 1, 2, 3. Well, that is numerology. So I remember running up the stairs to my parents, screaming and crying, going, "Oh my God, the ABCs are chasing me. The ABCs are chasing me." My parents are like, "What are you talking about?" But I honestly believe now that was a foreshadowing, because that's what I do. In numerology, we deal in the science of numbers. Of course, it's 2,500 years old, but each letter has a number. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. And I wouldn't have known that as a child, but since it's so completely my life, since I was in my 20s, when I first picked up a book on numerology, I actually met a psychic. She was a psychic, that's what they said, but she was actually a numerologist. And that was my turning point, because my heart was broken, Colette, by my first love. And when I met this woman, she explained, no, he's toxic to you. He's not right for you. And I'm like, what? I didn't know anything. She's like, no, his mother and sister are naturally matched to you. That's why when you walk in the home, you give him all that credit. But it's not him, it's them. And to this day, Colette, I'm friends with them. I'm friends with the mom and sister, and I could care less about him, as you can imagine. But it's energy. It's all vibration.
Isn't that interesting? Because I know you, and I also know that I wonder if you're a reincarnation of Pythagoras.
Right. Pythagoras back in town.
But you're also incredibly intuitive with it, because I've worked with you and I've seen you. I've been with you on TV where you literally look into the air, and it's like you see all the threads of how the numbers come together. So there's a science to it, but there's consciousness to it, and you're able to tell the story, which is a really incredible, unique gift, because I don't see a lot of other numerologists able to do that. So let's talk about, is numerology a scientific or spiritual or is it both? Is it a spiritual and, scientific science, right? Like, is it both? And tell
Right.
us why.
Here's what I have decided about it. First of all, it is a science of numbers for sure, because when I picked up that book, I never finished reading a book on numerology, not once. I ended up writing books without finishing reading them because I learned the basic numbers 1 through 9. So
Hmm.
1 in numerology is considered the beginning, 9 is the number of completion. When I read those basic definitions, Colette, I found I could read anybody from that like within 2 weeks of
Yeah.
just learning those basics. But what my gift turned out to be and what makes me unique in what I do, I'm an
Hmm.
interpreter of numbers,
Yes.
and that is my gift. Anyone can look at those numbers. Like I have people say, Glynis, I bought your book and I read people at this party and I blew them away. Well, that proves that there's a science to this, right?
Yeah.
They're looking at energy, they read it, they don't know anything about it, yet they're accurate. But then mine goes to a whole new level. And it's because when I see numbers, my third eye is wide open.
It
And
sure
as
is.
I would say, you can run, but you can't hide. I
Yeah.
really see who you are. So that is the difference. But yes, I'd say science of numbers, but the gift of interpretation is key.
You actually did a reading for me literally years ago. I think it was, gosh, it must have been 17 years ago. You probably
Yeah.
don't remember this, but it was the first time I met you at a Hay House event, and
Yeah.
there you were sitting, and you actually did a reading around a relationship that I had with a girlfriend at the time, and you were going on, well, that's a toxic match to you, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, she can't be right, but after that, I was such a believer because literally every single thing that you said that I was unwilling to see, because that's the other thing,
Yeah.
right? We can have
Yes.
attachments to toxic people, was the 1,000% accurate. You didn't even know this person. I just
No.
gave you their birth date and you were like, boom, 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 boom. And here's why about you is boom, 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 boom. So what I found looking back on that, it's such an incredibly healing thing that you can do, and
Yes.
also that you teach people to do, but also there's a freedom and a liberation, that it gives people on a spiritual level as well, because you realize I don't have a lesson to learn here. It's
That's
that
right.
I have a choice. So I think a lot of what you do also is gives people choices. So there are several types of numerology out there, and you've said that your system is based on Pythagoras. Do you know any of the main differences between the systems like Chaldean, or do you just don't care?
Well, it's funny. Of course, you can imagine that I checked everything out, right? I mean, it's
Right.
just like astrology. Astrology was kind of something I was loving at like 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
But what I would find, I'd be reading, let's say, a book, and I'd read a page and like, oh, that's me, and I'd realize I was on the wrong page or it was the wrong sign, and I'm like, oops. So here was my turning point. Yes, I looked at the
Uh-huh.
other types of numerology. It is not as accurate for me.
Hmm.
Again,
Yeah.
interpretation. The reason my first book was called Glynis Has Your Number, it's because Glynis has your number. And
Right.
it really was, right? Because
Great.
I
It was my
remember,
favorite title.
right?
Glynis says,
I
yeah, it's a
remember
great
reading
title.
people, and this one kid said to me, he's like, Glynis, why is it when you read that book, it's not as accurate as what you say? Like because I kept thinking I needed to train, right? It's natural for us to think that I need to study this. But for me, it was actually, I was seeing numerology patterns that were not in the book. And I got it. So when I would read someone, just verbally read them, it was accurate. If I grabbed a book, it'd be hit and miss. And I'm telling you, that's what happens to me all the time, Colette. I will come across any numerology and it's just a little off. It's like I'll read it,
Interesting.
go, yeah, that's true, true, true. And then I go, not true at all. And that is what I mean about it being, I would say to you, my level is God given because I have tremendous faith. I
Oh,
always have.
yeah.
I
Hmm.
never, when people are like, oh my God, you're amazing. I said, well, thank you. But really, God given, because I know the difference. I know that just like you, when I watch you read, and by the way, yes, I will toot your horn for a minute. Listen, when you and I do stuff together and you just light up with your cards and your interpretation is so accurate that I get chills. It's that same thing. So I say the truth, it's right there. And we all have different tools to get there. Mine is numbers, yours is that psychic thing. And I get chills when I go to your
I know.
website.
We're
If I
definitely
just
the dynamic duo.
Right? I mean, we're dangerous. But if I go and I'm like, I just need an answer, and I flip your deck, it's always what I needed to hear. And I know that, again, is that spiritual thing within you, Colette. And that the other thing about it is there's no ego there. The ego's gone, right? Because we say ego's edging God out. So to me, when I read, not only do I know it's accurate, it's coming through me. It's just a clear channel. So yeah, that's why Pythagoras is the one for me. Yeah.
It's interesting that you brought up the ego because it's either,
Yeah.
when your identity becomes wrapped up into in the power of doing it, then you edge
Yes.
God out. But we can ease God's order by being in service to it, by being in service to
Yes.
the highest good and the most benevolent outcome. It's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask you a question because so many people see this. When I met my husband, it turned out both of us were constantly seeing 1111.
Right.
So what's your take on that for a lot of listeners who don't know what that is?
Okay, so when you see 1111 on the clock or wherever you might see it, it literally means the universe is wide open to whatever it is that's going on with you, like whatever it is you want. So when I see 1111, I tell people, hey, spend that minute asking for what you want. If it's health stuff, say, hey, that my health gets better, that I start to feel
Mhm.
good. Or if you're lonely, that I meet a great relationship. This next one's the real deal, that this is a loving person. You spend that minute. And if you look at 1111, if you really study it, it does look like doorways. So the
Doesn't it?
doorway of opportunity, right? So I say, well, what doorway are you going through? And is there more than one? And I'm going to give you a great example.
Sure.
Jennifer Lawrence, the actress,
Okay.
she brought up 1111. And, I've been talking about 1111 since the year 2000, 22 years ago on Coast to Coast Radio, where she
Yeah.
had said something about, hey, I heard on radio something about 1111. And I decided to start using it. Well, what was cute about that? She was literally talking about what she wanted, and it was the year she won that Oscar. And I thought
Oh
to
my
myself,
God.
wow, was she asking for that? Right, right? Did she say to the universe, hey, I welcome the Oscar? Because she ended up winning it. So yes, I see it as magic. If you feel like you're hurting, like I have one great example. This guy's heart was broken. His girlfriend dumped him. I said, just spend 1111 talking about repairing the relationship and have her to come back to you, but do not bother her. Do not call her. Do not text her. Leave her alone. He did it every day. And after 6 months, she did call him back and say, you know what? I love you. I miss you. I want to try again. So that's what I say about
Ooh.
1111. It's
So let,
magic.
let me ask you about this. This is interesting because I agree with this, but the way you're describing it is the prescription that you look at 1111 because I was talking about it becoming
Yes.
randomly. So you
Yes.
look at the numbers 1111 and meditate on those things and
Yes.
claim that. So it's like I'm stepping to the poor. That's very interesting because of course I wanted a great marriage and for 20
Yes.
years I've got one and I'm an 11 and he's an 11. So we're a constant 1111. My husband and I. And we have
Look
together.
what you've done together.
Together, it's been amazing.
Yes. You are a team. And as a team, you are healing together. You see, that 1111
Yeah.
means, I mean, you literally, Colette, I know you. You constantly are thinking, okay, how do I kick this up a notch? How do I help more people? How can I touch more lives?
Yeah.
And then you've got a
Mhm.
wonderful partner who's helping you do it. That you
So
are
true.
exactly right to say 1111. It's exactly right. Mhm.
So let's talk about names. So let's
Okay.
first let's talk about what a numerology blueprint. Let's go there first, and then let's talk about
Okay.
names and addresses and stuff because you helped me immensely on my numbers that we were looking for specific numbers because you told me to,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
worked. So let's talk about what's a numerology blueprint, for example, and does
Okay.
everyone have one?
We all have a numerology blueprint. There are three numbers that we take from a name. And in this case, we use the Pythagorean number system. And then you have three numbers from your birth date. Now, those birth date numbers are sacred because you can't change them. You can always change your name. You cannot touch those birth numbers. So the day
Yep.
we're born is one of them. The full date of birth reduced to one digit is one of them. The month and day reduced to one digit is another. And then the name, it has the soul number. So it's saying, well, what fulfills your soul? It has the
Mm.
personality number. So how do people see a little bit of your personality? And then the power name number. What did you get from that name? That's that's the power name number. So it's called a blueprint. And what I do, like especially in relationships and business, I do
Mhm.
numerology chart comparisons to see, are you good together? And more
Right.
importantly, let's say you're already married and the marriage is in trouble, but you've got kids and you want to stay together. I can help you see the positives and negatives to heal it so that you
Right.
don't fall into the same problem again and again. What I teach, Colette, is people are not trying to be one way. They really are
Right.
that
They just
way.
are.
They really are. It's not personal, but if they're toxic or a challenge to you,
Yeah.
it's going to feel personal. You're going to feel maybe
Right.
attacked by them, and it's not their intention. So that's the point of a numerology blueprint, is to study and go, what's going to fulfill you in this lifetime? And we all have it.
And it's so accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
it is absolutely accurate and quite astounding. And the
Yeah.
fact that literally every single person has it. And I know that when I actually changed my name,
Yes.
and I left my first husband and then the whole numerology thing and realized adding Reed, which is my first husband's last name, would
Yes.
actually put me in a better position to help others and to grow a bigger life.
Yes.
Literally, I got a record deal right after I
Yeah.
changed my name to his name. And I called him up. It was so funny. I said, "Hey, do you mind? I know we got a divorce, but can I take your name? Is that okay?" So he's like, "You're a nut bar. Yeah, go ahead." Right.
Yeah.
So, and I love my name. Right. And it
Yeah. It's
changed
a great
everything.
name.
So you can change the resonance of what you are attracting and magnetizing to you through the law of frequency with a name change or a choice of name. So
That's
that's
right.
why, when you go to numerology for a business name, for example, it can either make or break your business, right? It could
That's
be
right.
like, oh, this name is toxic to you, or this name is in alignment with what you want to do. I mean, it's what you do is fascinating. So, for any of our listeners who are taking notes, where would you suggest they start with this?
Well, there's this book called Glynis Has Your Number. And that's exactly how they should start with this. And I'm dead serious. Do you know, even the people who have jumped into the field, because like you and I both know, if I've done it 22 years on air, radio and TV, you can bet there's a
Yeah.
ton of people who've used my book. Like, it's funny, I'll look at someone who's quote unquote a numerologist, and then I look through my database and there they are, from 15 years
Yeah.
ago. The reason I suggest Glynis Has Your Number is I designed it to keep it simple. Remember, that was
Yeah.
my thing. You can make numerology very complicated, but how's that going to help people? We got to find ways to simplify. So
Yeah.
I teach you how to find that numerology blueprint. I teach you what is good for you in business. And that, I want to jump to business for a moment to say,
Yes.
if the
Perfect.
name of your business is a challenge to you in numerology, you're going to struggle. So I help you find what's compatible, what's a natural match, and even a book title, Colette. If you pick a name that's compatible to you, it speeds up your success. Like that title, Glynis Has Your Number, is obviously a natural match to me. That was intentional. Love by the Numbers was another one. So I recommend those books. And if you are looking for love, you want Love by the Numbers because, yeah, it just helps you know, why would you want to waste your time? Like I say, if you're single, get it right from the start. If you're married and you're trying to fix it, I'll give you tools to fix it. But if you still can't, this is how it works. If you have one or two challenge numbers, you can agree to disagree, right? So one or two challenges out of
Hmm.
six. If you have three challenge numbers, you're going to work hard on that. But if you have four or more, you have to be honest. You have to ask yourself, is it
Right.
worth it? Because there's nothing worse than being in a toxic relationship where you lose your life. You're only focused on that. Oh, he said this to me. Oh my gosh, he got mad last night. That's not living. You need a partner who basically cheerleads you. There's no such thing as perfect, but you need someone who cheers you on and wants you to succeed, and you want the same for them. And that's all in the numbers. So, yeah, those are my recommendations for learning numerology. What is it? How does it work?
One of the things that you do, which you use numerology to explain certain things in the media, which I found
Yes.
always very
Yes.
fascinating. So, you're saying, well, this is why these two people are at each other, and here are their numbers. And, I'm not really a big gossip person, but that said, it's really quite frankly, it was quite fascinating because you could actually take numerology
Yes.
and bring it over and show everybody why these things were
Yes.
happening because the numbers said so. And so
Mhm.
I came to find that very interesting because obviously people in the media are people that are now available to us. So we can actually learn by seeing that and saying,
That's
okay,
right.
so this is why this happened. We don't want that to happen. So you have to avoid these things.
Yeah.
Is there anybody anybody out of the blue that you want to
Yes,
talk
I'm
about?
going to tell you,
Yes.
I want to talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because I said they were going
Okay.
to win an election when everyone else was like not sure. Nobody knew what was going to happen. But in the numbers, it was obvious. And I'm going to tell you why, keeping it very
Sure.
simple. It was 2020, right? That's the year.
Yep.
Joe Biden was born November 20th. So that means he's born on the 20th. Kamala was born October 20th. That means the day they were born is how they appear. So together they look like 2020, just like you
Oh
and your
my
husband look like
gosh.
1111. And I thought to myself, wait a second. As a team, they look like 2020. And then the inauguration was January 20th. I said, oh my gosh, they're going to win. Like it was so obvious to me.
Right.
And so because the election before that, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, Trump won the electoral college, but I could see in the numbers, these two were going to go the distance and they took 7 million more votes in that popular vote.
Wow.
But I could see it. So that is my gift. That's what I meant about interpretation. You can look at numbers, but they come to life for me. And I saw it and it happened. So here's another example. Jennifer
Yes.
Lopez and Ben. And I always,
Let's hear.
his last name's tricky to me. Is it Affleck or Affleck? What do you know?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. I think
Right.
it's Affleck. I've always seen it
Let's
as
say it's Ben
Affleck.
Affleck. Well, whatever, right? Here's what I would tell you. Years ago, when they first, now you realize it was 20 years ago, but when they first got together, I said 1 week before they were going to walk down the aisle, I said, they're not going to make it. It's not going to happen. Well, it didn't. And so here they came full circle. Why? Because they were soulmates. And what's a soulmate? How does that work? If you have 3 numbers out of 6 with somebody, it means good or bad. When it's over, it's never really over. Well, they share the numbers 2, 2, 6. 2 is affection. I mean, these two definitely have chemistry. 6 represents family. What I would tell you about Ben, the reason he's always someone I'm concerned about, he has a 5 attitude. The 5 is a challenge to his 6, right, Colette?
Right.
So it's not
I knew that. Yeah.
He gambles. When he does drink, I guess he's not drinking now, but when he does, it goes too far. And right now, I know that he does smoke. He's a smoker, which is common, right? People do 12-step that were drinkers often and take up smoking or whatever just to do something. But what I'm getting at, she's a health food freak, right? This woman is obsessed with her health. She does not drink. She doesn't do anything. So that's going to be a compromise right there in the relationship. But I knew this time around, it was all personal year cycle. The day they did it, completely different. And that's how come this time they said, I do.
It's going to work.
Well,
wow.
Is it going to work becomes the question still, because remember, if Ben can work on that part of him, the love is real. Like if someone says, Glynis, are they good together? I said, yeah, because they really do love each other. And I'm happy for that. But I will say, and this is in both books, Colette, the minute you do drugs, alcohol, drugs, I don't care how good the numbers are on paper, it'll mess it up. It can hurt the relationship.
Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting that you said about the 5 attitude. Is he a 2? So they're
he's
both
a 6 life path. They just share that.
He's a 6 life path. Okay.
His name numbers are 292. And she's got that also. Okay. She's a 2. She's a 2.
She's a 2. Right. 10, a 2, and a 6 is good.
Right? Yeah.
But that 5, so we're 2. So when Mark and I are in a hotel room and I always tell them, do not give us a floor that adds up to 5. And I do not want the room to add up to 5. And sometimes if that's all we have, I will take a 1 and tape it to the back of the door to make it a 6.
It's true.
Because I know. And then that makes the floor, the 5th floor, and the 6 is like into an 11, and that. But I know absolutely, and they look at me and said, "I don't care. It's numerology. So give me a piece of paper and I'm tacking it to the door, so because it's so true. Because I'm a 2, and that doesn't work for me.
Every time I've compromised on a hotel room that was a challenge to me, it went wrong. Yeah. Every time,
right?
Oh every my time. Gosh. And I'm going to give you an example of a 5-room. Hotel room. I literally walked in, and I am not exaggerating. Next to the couch, there was like this little dried, perhaps they tried to get rid of it, but it was a stain of blood. It was a circle. And I'm like, you've just got to be kidding. You think I'm going to be in this hotel? Well, I don't know if that's blood. It was completely blood. I am sure of it.
Oh my God.
So that's what's funny is like you may try to fight the numbers sometimes, right? I'll give you another example. I tell people technically try not to fly on an 8-day, because if you fly on an 8-day, there's always a little bit of drama. Something's unexpected. Just pay attention, especially double 8, meaning if your flight number
Check.
adds up to the number 8. I know, right? If the
I'm
flight
gonna have to
number
look
adds
now
up to
because I'm
8,
going away.
what day are you going?
Hang on one sec. Oh my gosh, you're scaring me. Hang on one
Yeah.
second. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Okay, so I am going on Wednesday, an 8-day. I'm flying on Wednesday the 26th.
Okay, but what's your flight number? That's the key. It's the
Oh.
double 8. Do you know? Get a flight number. That I'd be real
No, I'll
surprised.
find out later. That's
So
so
let me put it
interesting.
to you this one. I mean this, Colette. If
Yeah.
it's an 8-day, but your flight number is also an 8, you might want to regroup and pick a different thing. And I'll
Okay.
tell you why. Every time, I mean, I could go into the history of what's happened in the country. Like if a plane blew up in the sky in New York City when they didn't know what it was, and someone said it was just a missile, it was an accident, blah, blah, blah. It's flight 8 and breaks down to the number 8 that day.
It's a 9. My flight is a 9.
Yay. So you're good. See? And because remember, as a 2, the 8 happens to be a natural match to you. But even if it's a natural match, you don't want a flight 8 and an 8.
No,
day.
it's a 9. Yeah, it's a
but
9.
I'm going to give you examples. One gal wrote me, she's like, Glynis, it was an 8-day, it was a flight number 8. And I thought, I don't care. I got to get home. She said she gets on the plane, and I'm not exaggerating. She looks, and all of a sudden she sees that the plane, it's on fire.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Like there was just a little bit of a fire. And of course they had to say, get off the
That's
plane.
hilarious.
And she's like, Glynis, you suck. I said, don't put it on me. I said, I'm just gently reminding you. And then my sister, Monica Colette, she lives in New Zealand. She took an 8-day. They lost her luggage. We never got it back. And I'm talking touch. She had money in there, jewelry in there. It didn't matter. So that's all I'm saying. It's like if there's things and patterns you know, why not proceed with caution, right?
Exactly.
Keep it simple. Make it easy.
My second flight is a 6. I just looked. My
Yay.
second flight is a 6.
Yay.
So I'm good.
So you're
I'm good. Oh my God. I would have changed it too. I absolutely would have. So let's talk about some predictions, because you're very, very good at this. And I've always chuckled. I'll always write notes and see, what did Glynis say about this year upcoming? So let's talk about 2023, the year we're in, and discuss. Give me kind of the vibe on the year and what you're tuned into.
First of all, you keep it simple, break it down. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3. That's a 7. That means it's the year of the environment. Mother Nature is going to speak so loud, you cannot ignore her. And I will say what I'm grateful for right now is this administration did get some money, right? And I think it was actually bipartisan support in a particular bill, but I think it's $396 billion for the climate. Wow. And guess what? Couldn't come sooner. I mean, couldn't come any faster, because we have a problem. So what you're going to see throughout the year of 7, environmental stuff, like the weather will be extreme. If it's hot, it's super hot. If it's cold, it's ice cold. And because that's true, we're going to have to focus on it. So I see us focusing more on this environment. How do we fix it? The clean water, the clean air, it's going to be a priority. And what I always suggest to people is, we're in this energy of 7, it gives you permission to step back. If you're a big communicator, you don't have to do that. You don't have to prove yourself. Don't join in. If someone wants to debate you, take a deep breath and walk away. You don't have to save the day. The 7 gives us permission to work on the spiritual side of who we are. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? You get answers like that in the cycle of 7. So I love all that. In the world of leaders, anyone with the God complex, and that, of course, brings me to Putin, who's got double 7. They lose. You cannot play God on a planet where we all have to work together. We ultimately are going to get there. That's what I like about 2 energy. When to think of what we've been through. The 2 means if we work together, we will succeed. But if we fight each other, we all lose. And I think that becomes incredibly clear throughout this year of 7.
Right. So when you said the word 2, is that because it's the 2000s or
millennium.
23?
Like when we went into the
millennium.
year 2000.
Yes. I get it.
Yeah. So
as soon as we hit those.
Right. So the year 2000 was a baby, right? It was born. And by the way,
Mm-hmm.
what it means, I love this part about it. Because remember, the 1900s was a one. One was independence, about me, blah, blah, blah. And you could even say it was a masculine thing, but maybe toxic masculinity to say, do what I say. I'll tell you how it is. The two is not like that. The two says we're peacemaker, mediator. We don't want conflict. And the man who wins in the cycle of two is the gentleman. The
Mm-hmm.
gentleman. So think of 2023 as being a 23-year-old, right? This energy is continuing to grow. And as we continue to grow, it gets better.
Let's actually look backwards a little bit and then let's move up to 2024. So we know that because I love people to understand that every year has a very specific energy that impacts the collective,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
let's go back to the beginning of the pandemic,
Yeah, 2020.
right?
Okay, so let me tell you, this is the absolute truth. 2020 means seeing things as they are, not as you want them to be. So it
Right.
was an eye opener. When that pandemic
Hmm.
hit, you could deny it. You could say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's no big deal." Well, it was, and it was in our face, and over a
Yep.
million people died. I mean, that's just a fact. But what it was is paying attention. Like example, when you have a crisis in your life, if you try to ignore the crisis, it gets worse. And we
Right.
saw that in 2020. We saw, at least in the United States, we saw a president say, "Yeah, I'm not going to wear a mask. I don't want to." Well, great. But by doing that, millions of people got sick. And interesting, like in my life, we lost my
Sure.
mother in law. I mean,
Yeah.
Charlie's mother was like one of my very best friends. I can't tell you how much I love that woman. But she got hurt. She hurt her hip. It wasn't broken, but it was hurt. In the hospital, a staff person infected her and she died.
Oh,
And that
boy.
was in
Mhm.
2020.
So that's the four energy. Would
Well,
you say
it's
that's a
four
four
means the
energy? Two
lessons
oh.
attached, right? The
Yes, the
four
lessons
means
attached to the four.
pay attention. What are you learning from this? What can you do differently? But it
Right.
also promotes the fight. The dukes are up. This is what I think, and what I say goes. Again, that's exhausting, right?
Right.
But the bigger message was, what can you do about it? Like each one of us, we're all so different, right? But there was a shutdown. There was a shutdown, and I believe when we talk about like it's global, when we talk about inflation, and then they talk
Right.
about a possible recession. It doesn't matter. You can't shut all of us down and not pay a price, right? We were going to
Sure.
pay a price, and that was going to be a part of it. But again, when people ask me, because they get so frightened, there's so much fear out there. I tell
Fear.
people,
Yep.
stop it. Focus on you. What can you do to be happy,
Yep.
right? What can you do with your own family? Is there a book you want to write? Is there a company you want to start? Get back to your life. Stop. Don't
Mhm.
let the universe and what we hear, the chatter. I will say, Colette, this to me is one of the worst things that happened. I know we talk about social media, blessing and a curse. The curse is when you go on, it wants to know who you are. Those algorithms want to follow you and put you down a rabbit hole. But the minute you go
Yep.
there, then you have an issue with someone who's not in the same rabbit hole. So I
Right.
invite people to stop doing that, right?
Yep.
Like,
Stop doing
I
it.
mean,
That's right.
yeah, if I go check my email and all of a sudden there's a headline and it's something they know I want to read, I won't do it anymore. I look straight ahead.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, this is my life.
Yep. Look
You're not going to take
straight
my life for granted.
ahead.
Yes. And
Yeah.
2023, by the way, invites us to stop it, to realize that's not working. You see, because
I
there's
love that.
poison in that. Yeah. So that
There
the
really
blessing
is.
is that we love each other, right? You can see people on Facebook, but I always call it fake book because come on, it's fake book. People
I
show
just
their
phone
best life.
people.
Yeah, they're not going to tell
Yeah.
you everything that's up. So take it with a grain of salt. But I do want people to understand, especially your audience. I find people drawn to you, Colette, or me. They're empaths. They're sensitive.
Yeah.
They got these big
Sensitive.
hearts. They want to make a difference. They must be careful to not fall into rabbit holes. That's another
And to
one.
be independent in a 7 year, right?
It's work within, Colette. You got to do work on the inside. It is not outside you. The seven energy says no. Stop looking for answers outside you. It's within. So do the
Mhm.
meditation, do the yoga, do anything, do affirmations, anything that gives you more of a center. Get in touch with
Right.
your core. Live
Mhm.
inside your body. Most of us just don't
Right.
live in our body. And 2023 says, no, you got to get back to you.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk about 2024. So we go through 2023. We know the environment's going to be a
Yeah.
big conversation. We know that we have to be like to be autonomous when it comes to what we allow, to come in, et cetera, to say,
Yes,
no, I'm not going to engage in these things, et cetera.
that's
So
right.
then let's look at the 8 year. So what does the 8 year bring us collectively in 2024?
Now, 2024, when you break that down, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. 8 is about money. So I wonder to say,
Hmm.
what is that? This is what I would tell you. It can be extreme. It means making lots of money or
Right.
losing lots of money. But the good
Right.
news about 8, because it is got those 2 perfect circles, no matter how, if you're on the wrong track, you can flip it. Just remember, I got 2 circles here. I don't have to live in this one. Example, conflict.
Mhm.
If you're fighting with somebody and you're dealing with double 8 energy or the 8 energy, you can say, I don't have to do this. I can reverse course. I can change
That's
this. I can
great.
bring peace back. Because it's a funny thing about when we get in an argument, the minute 2 people yell, you both lost. You have both
Yeah.
lost. So you got to stop.
Mhm.
So if they're going with the yell, you go to a calm place. And remember that the 8 invites it. It is about political change. And again, I see that reflected
Right.
throughout the world. 2024 is about people deciding what matters most, you know?
Right.
And again, if you talk to me about the energy we're dealing with now, this is a time to step back. When we jump into 2024, it's a time to speak up, but be clear on who you're talking to. It's about choosing your words, Colette. That's another one. That, as a matter of fact, I believe healers will thrive in that cycle because people will be
Mhm.
looking to feel better and they're not going to quite necessarily know how to do it themselves. Like books will be great. Like, I don't know if you plan on writing another book, but it would be a smart thing to do because that is the shift that's taking place. How do we
Actually,
get back to
interestingly
becoming
enough,
grounded? Yeah, go
in
ahead.
2024,
Yeah.
it's the first oracle deck with all my own art. So it
Wow.
is, yeah. So it's
Okay.
very, very much a different message. And
Yes.
it's channeled, I get all these beings, or portraits of these beings that I've been seeing. And
Yes.
they're very like kind of star people that have come through.
Yes.
So I've painted them all. So that's when it comes out, is 2024 in that 8 year.
And then
So
consider this
that's,
for you. If you're a 2, and we know that your natural match category is 2, 4, 8, look at that
yep.
energy. 2, 2, 4 is in that year. It adds up to
Yeah.
8. So there's something about you coming into your own in a different way. That makes
That's
sense
so true.
because,
Yeah.
but it's
So
completely
true.
naturally matched to you. You see? So
Yeah.
that's a
So
blessing.
happy.
And I will say, people ask, well, what matters? Personal year cycles. We all have cycles that we go through each year. It's important to learn
Hmm.
what cycle are you in. But in your
Yep.
case, like if I were a 2 life path, a master number 11 2, and I knew 2024 had all that energy that invites me, it's like
Yep.
shine. You get to shine in a way that's different, but you
Hmm.
actually, it's almost like you've come into your own. Like here you've had this big career, but something in you shifted enough to go, nope, this is really what I want you to have. And this really
Yeah.
is me. That's
Yeah,
that.
it is too. It's the
Yeah.
first time it's completely me. It took 2
Yeah.
years to make, but anyway, it's been pretty
Yeah.
amazing. So, we're gonna pull a card now together to see if there's a
Okay.
subject that the Wooniverse wants us to talk about. So I'm picking from the Oracle of the Seven Energies,
Okay.
the 7 year, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we're going to see if there's anything that we can talk about here that relates to numerology and that could help our listeners. Um, Ears wide open. And it's actually, the card is number 33.
Ooh, I love
So,
that.
right. So I'm just going to let you riff off of that.
Well, okay. Double three. I mean, I'm going to jump to say, remember, energy is always talking to the people that are pulling cards. Like it could be a message for all
Yeah.
of us, but it's always those people. I am literally a double three in numerology, right? Just a fact. I was born on a 3 day. I'm a 3 life path. So what is double three?
Hmm.
It is considered natural counselor. Like giving advice is easy.
Hmm.
It is performer. Meryl Streep is double three. Look at her.
Hmm.
She reinvents herself over and over. Can do any role. That's what it's saying. Double three means
That's
where's
so
the
great.
laughter? Where's the fun? If it gets too heavy, you got to bring the laughter and the fun back in. That's what double three invites us to do. It's a really good energy.
I love that.
Did you say it was called Wide Open?
It's called Ears Wide Open. So it's about listening to the message of the double three.
Yeah.
That's
And
so good.
it's lighter. See,
Yeah,
double three means
lighter.
be in the moment. The times that we get depressed, it's always when we're worried about yesterday or tomorrow. It's never today.
True story.
So the double three says, no, be in the moment. And if you're in the moment, you will experience the magic. That's what
I love that.
Yeah.
Woo! Glynis, we're going to switch gears now and travel into another dimension of the Wooniverse called the Tea Time After Party, a place where we kick up the fun. And we're going to bring on the executive producer of Inside the Wooniverse, Connie Deletti.
Hello.
Hey, Connie. Don't we just love Glynis?
Oh, she's amazing.
I could listen to her all day.
Taking notes over here. It was beautiful.
I'm going to let you ask the first question.
Ooh, okay.
We're going to pick some fun questions for you, Glynis.
Okay.
I hope you think these are fun, Glynis.
We hope you do anyway.
We hope you do. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this. As a teenager, did you have a teen actor or actress crush?
I have been in love with Tom Cruise as long as I can remember. I am
okay.
His latest movie.
Okay.
Go ahead. You have a Tom Cruise story?
Yes, we always love a Tom Cruise story.
We can have a Tom Cruise story.
Let me tell you something. I know people who know him personally. My mother's dear friend was the teacher of his two adopted kids back in the day. He was the one who picked them up every day. Not Nicole. It was always Tom. But my husband knows I have a mad crush. So Charlie is always getting me the major posters of every movie. Like if you walk in my office, you'd laugh and go, really, Glynis? Like if I interview someone, I have to say, what are your thoughts on Tom Cruise? I'm telling you, my whole life, that's the one.
Tom Cruise.
Wow. What was the movie that really was locked it in for you?
Well, A Few Good Men knocked me out, but I just, growing up and watching his work, my husband, there's some flavor to Charlie that reminds me of Tom, or why would I fall in love, right? I mean, let's be honest, when you have your first crush, you already know what you like.
Right.
And I'll tell you a real compliment. My husband used to be obsessed with bodybuilding or being more fit. So I have a picture of him in the office from the back. And honey, Carla, Colette, who you know, walked in and laughed. She goes, what are you doing with that Tom Cruise picture? I go, that's Charlie.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's so good.
So I manifested that guy energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Amazing.
I manifested Viggo Mortensen. I
That's
was married to my first
Gorgeous
husband,
Viggo.
and I watched G.I. Jane. I was sitting beside my friend, Heather, and I looked up at the screen. I said, I'm going to marry that guy. She goes,
Wow.
Are you insane? You're married to Steve. I went, I don't know why I said that.
Wow.
But that guy right there is my husband. I know that's my husband. And sure enough, my husband's a Viggo Mortensen lookalike. It's too crazy, right?
Wow. Yep.
There you go. Wow. I have a great question for you. So if you could live inside of a sitcom or any TV series, which would it be?
Wow. Inside of a sitcom? Oh,
or
gosh.
a TV series.
Right.
If you could be a character and be living inside it.
Friends. Honestly, Friends cracks me up. I love Friends.
It's a great one. Yeah.
Because it'd be so easy for me to be a part of that, especially at the coffee shop, right? When they go to the coffee shop and do their gossip, and Seinfeld for the same reason. I mean, what I loved about both shows is you really feel like you could jump right in, right? With this group of people because the chemistry. And then what would I do in the series? I'd run the numbers. I tell them, you guys are toxic. You shouldn't be together. But I could see me in a sitcom in that energy. Yeah, that's what I would do.
If you could be wildly successful in any other profession, what would you choose?
Okay, now that's interesting. Honestly, the numbers lady through and through. And here's the why of it. Way back up, what I originally wanted to be, I thought, okay, I'm going to be an actress, because I'm a natural actress. I mean, I did Seinfeld.
Very charismatic.
Yeah, I did. Yes. It was called The Secretary. That's the episode I was in. People should look it up. I can't remember the season, but it's called The Secretary. And I played an angry New Yorker. What a stretch. right?
Yes.
But here's my point. I thought, oh, I'll be a performer because then I'm going to teach people to realize, whatever they want to achieve, it's possible. In other words, my message was identical to what I am. And then I remember thinking, but I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a writer. I am all of that from this career. So honestly,
yes, you are.
Honestly,
wow.
I am the numbers lady created by me, right? Using every drop of my gift. Now, what would I like to do? Kick it up a notch. If I could reach millions of people, that's what I want to reach. But otherwise, super content in what I do.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
I love that answer because it's so true. You have done all of those things and more. And what is something you can do better, not numbers, than anyone else you know?
Affirmations, honey. I was talking about that. Affirmations. When I do them, I'm going to throw some at you right now that I was doing yesterday. Oh, and I'm going to tell you some powerful affirmation stories, but here we go. If I say,
let's do it.
Abundance is my divine right. I'm healthy, wealthy, and loved. Abundance is my divine right. I'm healthy, wealthy, and loved. Well, I was chanting that sucker for normally I always say, do it 15 minutes. No, I went 45 minutes. And honestly, I got a call and made like $3,000 on something out of nowhere. And then I was chanting some more and shipping. Because you have a small business, they had raised the shipping fees, which was so upsetting because the holidays, I deal with big holiday seasons. And then boom, I'm chanting it. I get a letter saying, you know what? We've changed the prices. We've fought. You're going to get them all reduced. And I'm not kidding. Stamps.com. I looked.
Incredible.
A stamp that was $8.50 was suddenly $7.40. I'm like,
oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So affirmation. That is my passion. It's my universe. Yes, it is.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Connie.
If you could be any supernatural creature, what would you be?
Oh gosh, a supernatural creature. Yeah, it's funny. I went right to the dragon, which is a funny thing, right? I just always, oh wait, I'll tell you what I would love to be. I would want to be the one who rescues people. When we talk about a superhero, when I see injustice, if a man tries to hit a woman, if I could show up and punch his face and send him flying, I'd be the happiest person in the world.
Okay.
If someone was going to try to hurt a little kid and I stopped it, or an little old person being, they grab her purse and I got him. Oh, this would be my dream come true. If I could save the day again and again.
For injustice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this was so much fun. Okay. Last one I'm going to ask, what song best describes your life, Glynis?
A song that describes my life. Okay. Ready? Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum. Remember that?
That is a beautiful song.
Yeah, everything's starting to hum. Let me say, the best is yet to come. That song. That song knocks me out. And it is true. Like I always think, when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, thank you, Heavenly Father, for a new day, but also a chance to do it better and touch more lives. Like so I always think the best is yet to come. I never think it's behind me. I always think it's ahead of me, in front of me.
Oh, what a great song. And you are such an inspiration, Glynis. I just love you so much. To learn more about Glynis and all of her offerings, you can visit her at numberslady.com. And as always, you can find a transcript of this episode, quotes, all the links, and so much more on our show notes page. Go to itwpodcast.com or click the link in this episode's description. Glynis, thank you so much for joining us today. This was such a treat.
Well, thank you for having me. And it was so much fun, Colette. Always so much fun with you.
So what did we learn today? Well, we sure learned that numbers are real and they work as they're a system, and everybody listening needs to go get Glynis Has Your Number to learn more about numerology. It's pretty amazing. Anyway, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm Colette Baron-Reid. Be well.